Hello, me again. The first in a series of midweek mixed media videos for you today, where basically I sat down and just made something using pretty much everything that I've got available to me in my craft room. And I will basically talk you through what I did and why I did it and various other things as I go. I hope you enjoy this first one. Please feel free to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment if you do. And of course, if you'd like to see more like this from me, do remember to subscribe before you finish watching the video today. All right, let's crack on with this first one. Okay, so I'm kicking this one off with a jelly plate and some acrylic paint and a brayer. Spreading a nice thin coating over the jelly plate, and then I'm basically pulling a print by putting the paper down, rubbing over the back, and then pulling it up. I'm not too fussed about cleaning the plate off in between on this occasion, but I did do a second, what they call a ghost print, where you just get a light coating of colour. I then did a second coat, this time with a white acrylic paint, and you can see how that was slightly translucent. Don't worry, you will get a closer look at all of this later on. Next up, pink, a nice hot pink. Again, pulling a print. And that's just adding more interest for the eye to look at. And next up, another coat of white. And the white basically just knocks the colour back a bit and makes it a bit ethereal. Now I'm going to do a second sheet, a smaller sheet this time though, to act as some of the focal points. And I used 3 different colours of paint there just to mix up on the jelly plate and kind of cut out the several layers thing. Now a bit of red. And that was possibly a bit too much, although looking back I think actually I would have gone with it. That's the beauty of mixed media. You can basically repeat things over and over again, change little things, and then work with what you get. So this time I'm putting a stencil down between the paper and the jelly plate, and that gives me the impression as you see there. Then I'm putting a coat of white paint over what was left, and then pulling a third print on a different sheet, so I get the ghost impression. Now I'm taking off my jelly plate protector, basically just a silicone sheet, and I'm starting to look at what I'm going to do with all of these bits that I've just done. So it's out with a template that's basically some words that kind of reflect positive emotions and also friendship. And I'm using a clear gel here. It goes on with a white opaque look, but it will dry totally clear. And my goal was that I would be putting some kind of glaze or wash over that. Now back to the main part, and I'm looking at basically what I'm going to do with all of the different elements that I've got available. Now, to add a little bit of extra interest or pop, I'm going to use a colour that's kind of next door in the colour family, so from blues to greens, and I'm just stenciling that through a random stencil. It really was random. I actually just picked up a handful before I started this video and thought I'll make it work. I'm using that stencil to work on one of the prints that I pulled earlier as well, just to see if it will make a difference. And back to the main print, and I'm double stenciling just to figure out where I'm going to put the large focal design, making a few marks to show where that's going to be, and then I'm going to stencil on some white acrylic paint with a brush that's still got blue on it, but never mind. Anyway, if you're wondering what those little round circle things are, by the way, they're little silicone coasters, and they work great as little portable palettes or things, and when you're done you can actually wash them and get this acrylic paint off, or even, if it's a thick layer, peel it off and use it in your mixed media projects. So there's a little tip. Now I'm basically using the stencil here to find the part that I'm going to cut out, and then cutting it out. It really is that simple. And that's going to feature there. But I then sort of thought, maybe I need another one of those circles. So I went to find my little circle template, because I only had the two large ones, and then cut out those parts as well. Now to stick these down, I'm using Bindex, which is almost like a clear glue but made of acrylic paint, I guess you could call it. It's great because it basically seals it around the edges as well. So if you're then going to do any washes or glazes, it won't seep underneath whatever you've put there. And you can seal all sorts of things down with Bindex, from tissue paper to embossed card, anything really. And then mixing that with a little bit of white acrylic paint, and I basically wanted to just do a couple of scrapes up the sides. And if you notice, I'm kind of mirroring what I'm doing at both ends. That's just a tip. Now there's the gel, the clear gel, dried now, so you can see it has gone clear. And I'm mixing some blue in with some of that white and Bindex, and making kind of a glaze out of it, but it went a bit wrong, so I decided to spread it over the entirety and hope that I got more concentration around the edges of the letters, which I kind of did. Now for some little detailing, I'm using Posca paint pens. I was going to use the purple, but for some reason it wouldn't prime, which was the pain in the bottom. So I went with the white. And I was just doing some stippling around where the main focal point was going to go, just to add to that starburst effect that I stenciled earlier. Then I outlined, or tried to outline those circles, but it didn't work too effectively, so I just got a thin brush and some white acrylic paint. I'm not going for accuracy here, I'm just going for the fact that I'm trying to isolate them from the background. I actually quite like this look. Now up next I got the white Posca paint pen back and drew on a few extra circles, almost like they're the bubbles, the thought bubbles that I've created already, but transparent. It's just all these extra details that kind of mostly makes a mixed media picture work. You end up seeing lots and lots of different things the longer you look at a picture. Okay, back to that second piece that's going to be the main focal point. And I decided to get some watercolor ink, a nice purple, to spritz. And my hope was that it was going to go into the background, but I think I went in with a bit too much, so I tried to water that down with some water, but as you can see, it basically intensified it. So it was out with a trusty loo roll and tried to pick off quite a bit of it. Some of it stuck, some of it was still wet, so I basically took it off to dry it. And as you can see, the colour sort of faded a little, which was good. I'm now basically sanding back all of those layers so that the clear gel hopefully would reveal what was underneath. Kind of works, as you can see, so it's very distressed, as I was thinking, will this work? I thought kind of let's just go with this, so I basically went with the big circle and trimmed it out. If you follow me a lot for your scan and cut, by the way, you can cut this sort of thing with your scan and cut. Now, I tried to basically water some of that watercolour down with water, but it basically just spread it. So I was then trying to do some dry brushing with white acrylic paint. And then I decided actually I need to do some with the pink, and then also I went with some blue as well. And my goal here was again just trying to add more detail, more variation in colour and tone so that you could see those words. Now out with the Bindex again to stick that down and give it a good old coating, which unfortunately spread some of what was underneath, but there you go, that's fine. Now next up, a lovely friend of mine, Julie Hickey, sent me some of these letter or alphabet dies for Christmas, which was very nice of her. Thank you very much, Julie. So I thought, what perfect way to christen these than by using them within this project. So I die cut the letters J-O-Y for joy, and then I was unsure whether to use those colours because they were very similar to the background of the main focal point. But I thought, do I, don't I, do I, don't I? I took them off. I was looking to see if I had any of the other colour paper left, but no. So, you know what, I went with it. Stuck them down, including the tittle, the dot above the J. All with Bindex again, by the way. Then I mixed some blue paint with the Bindex to create a glaze, so that's almost like a very transparent version of the colour, and spread that over. Again, trying to work it so that it picked up more of the outline than of the letter itself. Then back in with a thin brush and some white acrylic paint to outline that shape. I then got a bit overzealous and watered the white acrylic paint down a bit. Always trying to give it a haze or a fog. Kind of worked. I'm starting to see planets now. Sorry for my phone. Then I thought to pick out the letters, actually I could paint over what was there. So I did some with pink and then spread it around to again pick out the letters. And then I'm just basically using some water to try and thin down what was around there. Oops, okay, that was a quick edit. After drying off the letters, I basically used a paint marker, this time an acrylic paint marker from Liquitex, I think, or it could have been a Posca. No, it was the Four Artists. I can't remember. Anyway, whatever works, works. And then basically used that to highlight the letters, which I think actually worked a lot better than trying to paint them. And then just with some very, very spattery dots, I finished the design off. And here's the finished piece along with the mess that I made. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing this, and I hope you've enjoyed watching it. Okay, so not a bad effort for the first one of 2022. I hope you've enjoyed it and will give the video a thumbs up before you go. And of course, remember to subscribe. Coming up, there'll be recommendations for other videos. Please feel free to have a look through the rest of my channel for lots of creative ideas.